Hello friends, in this session we are going to cover what are the access modifiers in C Sharp, access modifiers 6 accessibility levels, access modifiers with examples, finally access modifiers summary table. Access modifiers in C Sharp are also called as access specifiers. What is the purpose of access specifiers? Okay, so access specifiers are used to specify the accessibility of a type as well as their members. Okay, so here type can be class, interface, and members can be variables, properties, methods, and so on. Access modifiers are the keywords. Private. Access modifiers are private, protected, internal, public. Keywords have lowercase letters. Using these four access modifiers, we can specify the following 6 levels of accessibility. Okay, private, protected, internal, public, private, protected. Introduced in C Sharp 7.2. And finally, protected, internal. By specifying access level, we can control the access. Okay, whether they can be accessed in another classes or current assembly or other assemblies. That is based on our requirement. The user is allowed to use only one accessibility at a time. Okay, except the private protected and protected internal. Okay, so if you see here, for variables you can use only one accessibility at a time. Okay, except private protected internal. And in C Sharp we are not allowed to use any access modifiers on namespaces because namespace have no access restrictions. If you try to mention, you will get an error. A namespace declaration cannot have modifiers. Okay, let's discuss the accessibility levels. Okay, so as mentioned earlier, we have 6 accessibility levels. Let's go one by one. 4 access modifiers and 6 accessibility levels. First one, private. So when you declare class member as private, you can access only in the containing class. Okay, just access is limited to the containing type. Protected. When you declare class member as protected, you can access in the containing class, and types derived from the containing class within the same assembly as well as in any other assembly. Just containing class plus derived classes in the same assembly as well as in any other assembly. Internal. Access is limited to the current assembly, means containing class, derived class as well as non-derived class of same assembly. Okay. Public. Access is not limited. Private protected. So containing class plus derived classes of same assembly. Okay, so if you want to restrict access to the derived class of same assembly, then go with private protected. Okay, otherwise go with protected. You can access protected, you can access containing class plus derived class of same assembly as well as in any other assembly. But private protected, you can access containing class plus derived class of same assembly. You cannot access in derived class of in another assembly. Protected internal. Internal means current assembly plus derived class of another assembly. Okay. Let's see practically. Let's go with example. Here we have two projects. Access modifiers assembly 1 project 1 and access modifiers assembly 2 project 2. Okay. So let's go with the project 1. Here as part of project 1 demo class, we have declared 6 variables. Okay, with 6 accessibility levels. Okay, private, protected, internal, public, private, protected, internal. Okay, you can interchange these if you want, no issues. Okay, so private, X is limited to the containing class. Protected, containing class plus derived classes in any assembly. Internal, just current assembly. Containing class, derived classes, non-derived classes of same assembly. Public, no limit, you can access anywhere. Private, protected, containing class plus derived class of same assembly. Protected, internal, current assembly, internal plus derived classes in any assembly. Okay, so let's see. Let's try to access within the same class. Containing class, you can access all the access modifiers. Okay, let's go with the derived class of same assembly. Okay, here demo2 is inherited from demo class. Okay, so private you cannot access because access is limited to the containing class. Protected, containing class plus derived classes of any assembly. Internal, access is limited to the current assembly, you can access. Public, no limit. Private, protected, containing class plus derived class of same assembly, so you can access. Protected, internal means current assembly, you can access. Now let's take non-derived class within the same assembly. Okay, so in non-derived class you cannot access class members directly. First you need to create instance and access the class members. Okay, so first one, private, X is limited to the containing class, so you cannot access. Protected, containing class plus derived classes in any assembly, so since this is non-derived class you cannot access. Internal, X is limited to the current class, sorry, X is limited to the current assembly, so you can access. Current assembly in the sense containing class, derived class and non-derived classes. Okay, containing class plus derived classes and non-derived classes of same assembly, so you can access. Public, no limit. Private, protected, containing class plus derived classes, since this is non-derived class you cannot access. Protected, internal means current assembly plus derived classes of any assembly, so you can access. Next one, let's go to project 2, assembly 2. Okay, here test class is inherited from demo class of assembly 1. Okay, here I added reference. Okay, so I imported namespace. This is derived class in assembly 2. Okay, private, obviously X is limited to the containing class, so you cannot access. Protected, containing class plus derived classes of any assembly, so you can access. Internal, you cannot access because access is limited to the current assembly, since this is different assembly you cannot access. Public, no limit, you can access. Private, protected, containing class plus derived classes of same assembly. Okay, since this is another assembly you cannot access. Protected, internal, current assembly, internal, current assembly plus protected, containing class plus derived class of any assembly, so you can access. Next, let's go with non-derived class in assembly 2. Again, as mentioned earlier, first you need to create instance and try to access. Let me uncomment. Private, since X is limited to the containing class, you cannot access. Protected, containing class plus derived classes of any assembly, since this is non-derived class you cannot access. Internal, X is limited to the current assembly, so you cannot access. Since this is another assembly you cannot access. Public, no limit, you can access anywhere. Private, protected, containing class plus current assembly, so since this is another assembly you cannot access. Protected, internal, current assembly plus derived classes of any assembly, since this is non-derived class in another assembly you cannot access. Okay, So let's see what we discussed so far. Private. Members declared as private are completely restricted to the same class in which they are declared, and they cannot be accessed from anywhere else. So protected. Within the same class in which they are declared, within the derived class of that class available in the same project or same assembly, within the derived class of that class available in another project. Internal. X is limited to the current assembly. Within the class in which they are declared, derived classes of same assembly, non-derived classes of same assembly. Public. No limit. You can access anywhere. Containing class, derived classes of same assembly, non-derived class of same assembly, derived class of different assembly, non-derived class of different assembly. Private protected. Containing class plus derived class of same assembly. Protected internal. Current assembly plus current assembly means containing class, derived class of same assembly, non-derived class of same assembly, and protected derived class of any assembly. So finally, let's look at summary table. Okay, here first three are same assembly. Within the class of same assembly, derived class same assembly, non-derived class same assembly, derived class different assembly, non-derived class different assembly. Public, no limit, you can access anywhere. Protected internal. Internal means current assembly. Protected means derived class of any assembly. Okay. Protected. Containing class plus derived class of any assembly. Derived class of same assembly and derived class of different assembly. Internal. X is limited to the current assembly. Okay. Private protected. Containing class plus derived class of same assembly. Private. X is limited to the containing class. Okay. Okay, that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed the session. If you like this video, please do subscribe. Have a great day.